Hey there. So I've never made a video using my computer before. Never posted to YouTube, and that's what this is going to be for once I finish. Filming it just on my MacBook. Somebody who's a creative type but has a hard time feeling creative at the time when it requires. So many times I end up lying in bed at night thinking about amazing stuff, but it doesn't seem to be the right time to get on the computer um, to write or make a video. But tonight my train of thought was going, and I figured I'd make a video. Um, so I've been writing a book recently, and it's got me excited enough. I won't talk about the book particular, but I imagine myself being interviewed by Stephen Colbert on the Late Show, and imagine going on the show sort of dressed in a big gaudy theatrical costume that didn't have anything to do with my usual personality. Maybe a big colorful wide brimmed hat and a big fur coat like a 70s pimp or something, and um, yeah, pretty fascinating, the stuff that came into my mind. It wasn't even really about the book. It was just like a collection of references to pop culture references to all the late night comedy shows that have kept me going through the last 5 years during the frightening era of Donald Trump and COVID. And I guess one of the first things that came to my mind a couple of days ago, we did an interview with Quentin Tarantino where he was talking about their mutual love of the movie The Thing. Um, I know Stephen Colbert loves Lord of the Rings as well, so I imagined being all energetic and gesturing and saying, you know what, I think the next book I'm going to write, Stephen, I think I'm going to write a book about that spaceship from John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982, when it crash lands in Middle Earth. And then what happens next? And you can see Stephen Colbert's eyes just lighting up. And he's sort of laughing, and the audience is laughing, and he sort of realizes in for a different kind of interview than he's ever had before. Maybe if I could ever recreate that kind of stuff in real life, ever get that kind of opportunity. So many steps on the way to that. And I'm like, you know what else, Stephen? You love Lord of the Rings. You ever played this, one of the best board games ever, War of the Ring? And he's like, wait, what? There's an amazing board game based on Lord of the Rings, and I've ever heard of it. How is it possible? I was like, oh my God, Stephen, you gotta play this game. I'm like, it's epic recreation of the whole trilogy. Takes 6 hours to play, and I'll teach you sometime. We'll make a video and YouTube video, and it'll go COVID. No, sorry, I mean it'll go viral, and imagine getting the game out and showing it to him, or maybe doing it later. But then it's starting to mix and match all kinds of other references, subtle references to all the other late night comedy shows, like saying, I know COVID was tough for you too, Stephen. You were up in the middle, you'd be up in your step parents' attic making videos for audiences without a crew, and you had this painting of a sea captain talking in behind you, making annoying ocean jokes, when really that's Seth Myers, not Stephen Colbert. And the audience, they're versed in all this late night comedy stuff too, and they start laughing, and it's all these interconnections that just spark the minds of people. And I'm like, oh no, I know that wasn't you. That was Seth Myers. And you were the one that you kept wishing would get me in a car, and we'd do carpool karaoke together, and we'd sing some of those crazy songs they sing when they're in Rivendell that don't make it in the movies but are in the books. And oh, well, let's see what else came to me. And being like, when he did the Colbert Report, when he was doing that great parody of Bill O'Reilly, and he was always carrying around that Captain America shield, and so then I was like, you know what, Stephen, I got this shield here, and just a shield, Captain America shield. I know, Colbert Report. So I give him the shield, and he holds it up, and he does that eyebrow thing with his face that he loves to do so much, and and I'm like, no, there's something missing, Stephen. What is it? What is it? That's right. It's the hat. So you get the that hat helmet thing that Captain America has in the new Marvel movies. Chris Evans, right? And I'm like, yeah, Steven, put that on. Yeah, that's the complete picture. And said, you know what you need to do, Steven? And I reference the Avengers movies. You need to get up there, stand in front of the audience, and you need to show all these people. You need to show them America's ass because you've got America's ass, Stephen Colbert. So he starts laughing and he gets up, and then he got the Captain America helmet on. He gets out of his desk, goes up to the camera, and turns around and shows everybody America's ass. And then I get up and I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Let me see that shield. Let me see that helmet. So I take off my big showy rainbow hat and throw it into the audience, and I put on the Captain America helmet and take up the Captain America shield and say, I think I've got America's ass. And I turn around and I show the audience my ass, and I'm like, I think the audience should vote on this. Who's got America's ass? And so I give it back to Colbert, and he shows his ass again, and the audience cheers, and then I take it back, and then I show it, and they cheer again, and it's like, oh, there's a vote count here. Who won that vote? And can we only count the people who voted right now in the audience, or do we have to include the people who are watching live on CBS? Or come to think of that, we gotta bring in all the votes from the people watching on YouTube for days, weeks, months, years later, and then we do that. When do you stop? It's like, and so it's like, I bet if we waited like that, start counting votes later, Donald Trump would show up, and he'd be like, no, all of at the beginning, Stephen Colbert was winning. He had all the votes for America's ass, and then all these votes start coming out from nowhere, and this guy Amos, who doesn't deserve to be America's ass, and he starts getting these votes, and Trump's like, Colbert was winning this election. Frankly, he did win this election. maybe somebody doing a Trump impersonation shows up, and I make some kind of reference to Jon Stewart hiding under Stephen Colbert's desk behind us, and he pops out. And the audience cheers like they always do, and they get even more cheers because there's more references, all kinds of interconnected late night comedy show stuff, and he comes out, and then I'm like, maybe you should see if you got America's ass, and you get in this vote too. Maybe that happens, but then also, I'm in such a sparky mood. I'm saying so much, like, get all serious. Like, I think I know what's happening here, Stephen. I think I've been possessed by Robin Williams' ghost, and people start laughing. I say, no, I'm serious. I feel like I've got Robin Williams' ghost inside me. That's why I'm talking like this. I just can't stop my brain. And people get all serious, and then I go up to Jon Stewart and I say, John, I know back in 2004 when you crushed Tucker Carlson on Crossfire, back when he was some middle of the road and nobody, and he wasn't one of America's most dangerous demagogues for Fox News, and you roasted him, and Crossfire got canceled, and he lost a job, and I'm just sure Tucker Carlson was stewing about that. And what he's got now is vengeance, proving you wrong, and then Robin Williams' ghost in me, and so I reference to Good Will Hunting, that famous scene, and I go like, John, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And he goes, yeah, I know, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. And I'm like, no, you're not hearing me. It's not your fault. And I get a little closer to him. He's like, I know. And I'm like, I get closer. I was like, John, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And then he starts breaking up. Get like, what the hell are you doing? And then he starts getting angry, and then he starts crying. I'm like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, man. And he starts crying even more, and then I give him a big hug, and he starts crying into my arms, and then I was imagining earlier, like that big red button that Jon Oliver has on last week tonight that he was slapping early on. I think anytime he caught Trump in a lie, slap that big red button. We got him. Trump's presidency's over. So then that guy dressed in the furry tiger basketball player costume comes out, and they start this party, and then they realize catching Trump in a lie doesn't at all, and eventually that slap that button, and we got him, and the tiger comes out, and the tiger's pissed off because he doesn't want to be called out anymore because it's all for nothing. And Jon Oliver's like, nah, you don't think I don't hate myself too? And then maybe Jon Oliver shows up. He comes out on the stage, and and Jon Stewart's all cleansed, and I pull out the button or something and slap it. It's like, you know what? We got him. I slapped the button. We got Tucker Carlson. We got that demon inside you. Maybe we could get Barack Obama on here too. He needs me to tell him it's not his fault either for what he did to Trump back in 2012 and that correspondence dinner where you could see Trump just stewing, planning his presidency so he could take down that illegitimate black leader. How dare a black guy be president of the United States? And it's not your fault, Barack. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And slap that button, and the tiger comes out again, breaking the mood, breaking the seriousness, making people laugh. And I tell the tiger, you get out of here. Go chase down a Chris Tucker dressed like a zebra. And the zebras that Jon Oliver was using as mascots down in, I don't know, was it Brazil or Colombia or Venezuela or somebody. I forget the context. I'd have to look it up. But the tiger goes out, and at some point later he calls out, Chris Tucker comes on screen. He's got a zebra costume on, but he doesn't have a helmet. And he goes up to Jon Stewart. It's like, Tucker Carlson, this is Tucker. It's not your fault. Tucker's not your fault, John. Oh, what are some of the other things that came to me? There was more, maybe. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Playing the War of the Ring board game. Maybe like I spread it out on the floor or on his desk or something, and we don't go to commercial break. I say, we can't go to commercial break. Nobody wants to. This is CBS. Nobody wants to advertisements for Fix-It denture cream and Depends undergarments. So there's no commercial break, and I break out this board game, and we start playing with Stephen Colbert, and and that sea captain painting from Seth Myers. Seth Myers comes out, and he's got the sea painting, and he puts it on Colbert's desk, and we don't see because we're on the floor playing this game, and the audience is laughing, and then the sea captain starts talking, interrupting us, and then what's the actor's name? The guy who played Boromir in Lord of the Rings. He comes out, and sea captain's like, "What are you doing here, Ned Stark?" And he says, "No, I'm not Ned Stark. I'm Boromir, and you're interrupting the game here." And then he turns to the camera, and then Stephen Colbert and I were looking at him at this point, and Boromir turns to the camera, does that meme thing, that one does not simply walk into Mordor thing, and he looks at us and he's talking to the sea captain. It's like, one does not simply talk into a board game. And the audience laughs even more. What else happened? There's one other. It happens maybe once every 6 months. I'm lying in bed and I have this kind of just Robin Williams-like stream of consciousness, and I'm just standing there wide-eyed, wishing I had it on record. Wish it was a real interview, that other people could see it. Yeah. Can't think of anything else right now. Just lying here in bed, can't sleep. 7 o'clock in the morning. Got my windows covered. Past dawn. Once again, I haven't slept. Had too much coffee. Had too much chocolate. Did some good writing on the novel yesterday. Did a blog post relating to Donald Trump and politics and civil wars and evolution, and maybe somehow, if I'm lucky, I'll end up on Stephen Colbert, and some of this might actually happen. And as George Clooney just said on the season finale of Last Week Tonight, I'll quote one of his old movies when he goes off screen: "Good night and good luck."